Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Hire My VA Team and Business Building Podcast, where we help you to reclaim your freedom through hiring and thriving with virtual assistants without breaking the bank, without breaking your bank. I'm Dave Braun. I'm here with my partner and great friend, Larry Broughton. Larry, how are you doing?
The crowd goes wild. Hello, David.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I can't hear you. The crowd is just so noisy. What did you say?
Yeah, I am doing well, Dave. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing
Good
fantastic.
To see you. That's good to see you.
All right. Are you ready to get into another question/topic?
Let's do it.
All right. So here's a question.
Okay.
How often should I do a performance review for my team members and potentially give them raises?
I like that. Potentially give them raises.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, do you want me to start on this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Here's the deal. I think we should be giving impromptu ad hoc performance reviews all the time. The mantra ought to be in any organization is catch your team doing something right.
Yeah.
Catch them doing things right. Sadly, most managers are way too quick to catch people doing things wrong, and then they beat the crap out of people, right? That doesn't, by my statement of catch people doing things right, doesn't mean that you let things slide when you see people do things wrong. That's an opportunity to do what I call spotlight coaching.
Right.
You step in a positive manner, just like good coaches do, and correct them, not in front of anybody, right? You don't critique people. You don't criticize people publicly. You certainly don't do it in front of a guest unless you're really savvy enough to know how to turn things around, a guest, client, whatever you call them in your organization. So let me start with that. You should always be doing performance appraisals, right? But let me back up. I know what we're talking about here. You know, most organizations don't do any kind of performance appraisals.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You know, and why do you think that is? Because most managers just hate them.
Yeah. So most don't. So let me tell you what we try to do in our organization. Okay. Let's say you hire somebody that generally what people do is they put new hires on a 90-day probationary period is what they call it. We try to call it an introductory period.
Oh, I like
that.
Right.
Because right out of the gate, when you say probationary period, who goes on probation?
Yeah, people who don't
criminals.
Do very well. They're about ready to get fired. Yeah.
Right. If you work in an at-will state, you don't need to give someone lots of reason to let them go, but they could be judging you as well. So we call it an introductory period. We get to know you, you get to know us. Okay. During that first generally 90 days. Dave, you've hired plenty of people in your career. I've hired plenty of people. You generally know within the first couple of days whether the person's going to work out or not, if you are really monitoring them, right? And you've trained them properly. You know pretty quickly how they're going to do it. So what we try to do in our organization is a 30-day review, and it's very short. It might be 15 minutes, right? Do you like us? Do we like you? Here's an area you need to focus on a little bit more. Here's an area you're doing really well at, just so you start the process. Yeah. Then clearly before the end of the introductory period, you need to sit down and do more of a formal review. This is like you've made it or you haven't.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should ever let someone get to day number 89 and then let them go. That's just lazy, right? What ends up happening is, and most people know this, and so it gets to day 89, they've not prepared the performance review, and so the next thing you know, they're there 5 years later, and they never should have made it past the introductory period, right? I mean, you see it all the time, right? So I think you got to do a 30-day review. I think you got to do a 90-day review, 6 months, once they've been there 6 months, and then annually thereafter, or as needed. Right?
Yeah. If you're sensing there's some issues coming up, then
the spotlight coaching. Yeah. Let's say that you've given a review 6 months ago or 8 months ago, or it's 10 months since the last one, and they've had great reviews, but all of a sudden performance starts to go down. It's time to sit down with them, just inform them and say, hey, like, what's going on? there
Yeah.
anything that we need to be aware of? Because who knows? There might be health issues. There might be family issues,
Mm-hmm.
right? There might be maybe a change in the culture and the environment. Maybe there's a new team member or an old team member and things aren't going so well. You don't know unless you ask.
Yeah.
Is one of the things. So I would say that is probably a pretty good approach. 30 days, end of the introductory period, 6 months after that, annual review, then annual thereafter. There are some organizations, I'm going to leave this up to you folks. I'm not a big believer in guaranteed wage increases.
Mm-hmm.
They're performance increases, right?
Yeah.
If they're performing well, if they're exceeding expectations, they ought to be able to get a raise if the organization can afford it, right? So that's what I would encourage people to do. I do know plenty of organizations who do a performance review and an annual wage review. That's one way to do it as well. I can tell you, like I'm not, I guess lazy might be the right word, but in the last year, I've not done a lot of performance reviews, but have done a lot of spotlight coaching. Everyone on the team knows where they stand, right?
Yeah,
Everyone. Yeah. So I'm probably getting more feedback nowadays than I ever did before, because we're working remotely. This is being recorded in March of 2021, right? We've been in the pandemic for a year now. Most of us are working remotely. And so we're being a little bit more intentional about this, right? So that's kind of my take on it. I'd love to hear your take, Dave, and how were you guys doing it when you were working at your big corporate gig?
Yeah. Generally, I don't think there was a lot done. There was no formal process for like the 30-day, 60-day, or 1 month, 3 months, 6 month. There really wasn't anything formal there. There was what they did was they just, and this is what may make sense for most people, is just put it on your calendar. You're going to do the annual review at July 1st or that week. Just put it on your calendar. If somebody's there 3 months, well, then they get their review, an annual review then. Because you don't want to have to keep track of, it's this week is a year after this person's started, right? So then it's nice to just say at a minimum, I'm going to dedicate, a couple of days during this time of year to do it, right? So create the system that works for you. The important thing, Larry, I think we're getting at is regular feedback. If it's
that's a good
if
point.
it's not like filling out a form, well, as long as you're giving regular feedback, like what you're doing with the spotlight coaching, then that's what's most important, because you want your organization productive and you want folks to be able to feel like they've been heard, right? But for I think for most managers and stuff, most people, doing performance reviews is, for some people, it's enjoyable. Those are probably very, very few people. Others, managers, it's like pulling teeth, and they'd rather go to the dentist than do a performance review and take the time, because they're so busy, right? They don't realize that how important it is. It's, if you as a manager or the boss, but if you're as a manager, you're taking the time to think about your team member and how they're doing and talk to them about their growth and all that kind of stuff, that shows that they're valuable to you, right? You're ascribing worth to them just because of your time. And when you don't take the time for that, what kind of message is that sending them? I remember, Larry, I'll never forget getting a performance review from my boss, a guy I really, really respected. He's doing some great things in the industry, but he's just not like he's not like a written guy. My performance said something like, Dave did a very good job. He's an asset to the company. That's basically it.
Yeah. Well, this is why I think it's important to have performance review templates. You and I are big on templates, right? Where it asks probing questions about specific areas of responsibility for each of the players that are on the team, right? One of the things I'm a fan of when it comes down to a formal performance appraisal, let's say it's an annual one, is that a couple of weeks prior to the performance appraisal, the team member that you're giving the performance appraisal on gets the same review that I'm doing on them. So they do it on themselves and I do one on them,
Yeah.
right?
That's
And
excellent.
so if there's a rating system, let's say it's 1 to 5, if they're giving themselves all 5s and I'm giving them all 2s, there's a problem in expectations, right? But if I'm given a 4 and they're given a 5 and I give a 3 and they give a 4, we're in range. But if there's a dramatic view between, I think I'm a rock star and I'm giving myself 5s on everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
What that tells you is you're not giving the team member enough feedback.
Yeah. That's right.
Right.
Or your view may be incorrect for whatever reason. And that's one of the things is that you want to see if you can, when you do these performance reviews, you got to have a way to go back. So Larry, let's play this out. So say you're doing a formal performance review once a year. All right.
Okay. All right.
Are you really this is for me, it's like, I can't remember what the heck did I have them do 11 months ago? I can't remember that.
Yeah.
So It's important to have some kind of methodology within your company where you can look back. Maybe it's your quarterly goals that you set, right? You can see how they did. Or it could be, a bunch of tasks that they checked off, or something where you can kind of quickly scroll through and see, all right, here's what was going on. Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. They did this amazing thing 9 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you've given that good feedback 9 months ago, but anyway.
Yeah. I'm at a point in my organization where I don't have lots of interaction with I'm going to use this term. I'm not a fan of this term, but you'll understand, line level team members.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of direct contact with our guest service dogs. I don't have a lot of direct contact with our room attendants. Now I see them when I'm at the hotels. I say hi to them. I'll walk through with them, but I don't know their specific performance. I deal more with supervisors, managers, directors, VPs levels. All of those people that I just listed, managers and supervisors, they do weekly reports. Every Thursday, they say, here's what I got accomplished. Yeah. Here's what we talked about last week. Here's what, I'm going to be doing in the following week. And so I look at those. And so we keep those. And so that's what I go back and look at and say, okay, you said that you're going to get this done. And here's how you performed on it. Right. So that's the way we do it in our organization. There's a weekly report that gets done. And it's, by the way, they do it on a Friday. We talk about it they submit it on Thursday. We talk about it on Friday.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect.
Just come up with a system that works for you to track this stuff.
Right.
What I used to do in my old organization is we used to have, actual physical personnel jackets.
Yes.
Right. And so for every person on my team, in my desk was a folder, their personnel jacket. Right. And I would just write notes and I would just drop it in there. It was just something I wanted to keep in mind for their next review. I didn't write out a big formal thing about it unless it needed to be, but it was just a quick note to jog my memory about a great victory or a terrible failure or just something I wanted to bring up later on.
Yeah.
So that's another way to do it.
That's perfect. Perfect. Yeah. One of the things about our program is we've got a performance review template.
Yeah, we sure do.
And it's not necessarily meant for you to follow it to the letter of the law. You can if you want, but it's a great starting point.
That's right.
And adopt it and adjust it as your own.
Yeah.
I think the last thing, if we go to the raises part, the only thing that I would say is in the corporate world, I remember a company, and I think typically companies do this, they'll budget a certain amount of money as a pool of money and say, hey, this is the amount of money available for salary increases. A lot of companies do that. And then it's up to the managers to say, well, and based on salaries and all that, you get a 6% increase, but you over here only get a 1% or 0, but that's based on, the performance.
Yeah.
So that is a way to do that. But if you're going to do, normally, if you want to do raises like that for your folks, try to, budget it in, plan for it.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely. And I'm going to assume that you do have the money to do it. There are other organizations that do cost of living increases on top of performance reviews.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that. That's just me personally. But I think there's ways to do, make sure that your compensation is fair. Some industries they do wage surveys or wage surveys that you can look at, say, well, gosh, if this person is in this position in this geographic region, this is about what they ought to be paid. It's really good to look at that from time to time as well.
Oh yeah.
But I would encourage folks to look at it, that people aren't just looking for raises. There are ways to improve people's compensation by other benefits. Maybe it's more time off, right? More vacation time. Maybe it's picking up more of their insurance if you do pay insurance. So that's their
flexible schedule
flexible schedule, work at home, right? Auto expense.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ways to skin a cat.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good thoughts, sir. Anything else that we want to bring up?
Nope, I think that's it. That's good.
All right. Awesome. So thank you, folks. We're going to bring this one to a wrap.
Yeah.
So thanks, as they say in the restaurant business, right? We're going to bring it to a wrap. Did they say that? I don't know if they say
I've never heard it before, Dave.
There's wraps to eat, right? Right. Well, anyway, forget that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for joining us today. We're trying to have some fun here.
Thank you.
But anyway, remember, building a team is the way to reclaim your freedom, and we're here to help you do that. All right. So folks, 3 things we'd love for you to do, and we'd really, really appreciate it. Number 1, subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already done so. Number 2, give us a rating, 5-star, please. Pretty please. And number 3, go to HireMyVA.com for more information on our course, community, and the programs and everything that we are continuing to roll out. So remember, though, even without experience, you'll learn how to prepare for, hire, and thrive with virtual assistants. And Larry and I love to be helping folks in our community. We're making a difference in their lives, and we'd love to help make a difference in your life too. So just go to HireMyVA.com for more information.
That's right. Hey, do yourself a favor. Do the world a favor. Go do something significant today. All right. God bless you. God hold you. God keep you. All right, my friends. Go get them. We'll see you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.